One of the selling points of a trip to Ukraine is the chance to tour Chernobyl. And this is something we had wanted to do well before the miniseries. Kelsey had always wanted to visit, but I don't think it was on my radar until I saw the movie The Chernobyl Diaries, and then also a documentary we watched called The Russian Woodpecker. You have to go through a licensed tour operator, and I did ours through TripAdvisor with a company called Chernobyl Tour. And you need to book this tour well in advance of the time you're going to be there because it does fill up really fast. And I went ahead and paid in full online. That way it was easier and I didn't owe anything when we checked in the morning of the tour. Also, if you've got interest in the time, there are multi-day tours of Chernobyl available as well. Overall, this tour was extremely well organized. The office sent an email with all the information we needed for the day of the tour. And remember, there's a dress code. You have to have everything covered. That particular day, we were allowed to have our forearms uncovered. That was it. And you have to stay on the path behind your guide. You cannot veer off the path. There are still pretty high levels of radiation in the area. So while it is safe enough to tour, you do have to follow instructions very closely. They take it very seriously. Also, the tour covers a lot of different sections of the area, so it is a full day tour with a lot of walking. Upon arriving at the meeting point in Kyiv, we got checked in, met our guide, got in the van, and took the 2-hour journey out to the checkpoint. On the ride out, they show a video about the disaster and the guide gives running commentary. When you get to the exclusion zone, there is the first of 2 checkpoints, and at this checkpoint there is a souvenir stand and snack stand. There's also a bathroom you can use, and for ladies I recommend bringing your own toilet paper, and you can never have too much hand sanitizer. Remember, once you're in the exclusion zone, nothing on your person can touch the ground, except the bottom of your shoes. And you're also given a radiation meter to keep with you throughout the day. Once you're past the first checkpoint, you'll go with your guide to a village called Zalicia. The year before we booked this tour, we watched a cool documentary called The Russian Woodpecker about the Duga-1 radar, and that was the next stop on the tour. I was obviously excited for the whole day, but to be standing in front of this massive, awesome structure after seeing it in the documentary was so cool. It's somewhat difficult to photograph well during the middle of the day, but there are places you can stand and have your picture taken in front of it. Our guide hadn't seen the documentary, but said basically what it proposes is a conspiracy theory. Next up was the Kopachi Kindergarten, and this was by far the creepiest part of the tour. Partway through the tour, we stopped at the cafeteria to have lunch, and this is the same cafeteria that the workers used to eat at, and we had basically the same meal that they had. And if it applies to you, there is a vegetarian option. The ghost town of Pripyat is quite a sight to see, and you can't go in any of the buildings because it's just not safe anymore. And nature is basically starting to reclaim the area. So we are in Pripyat within Chernobyl. This is the abandoned kind of ghost town where all the workers lived, and they've just left it be. A lot of the trees and grass and weeds have grown up, so it's kind of being consumed and it's decrepit. But we're in the amusement park right here, and the Ferris wheel is here, and there's bumper cars back there. And no tour of Chernobyl would be complete without going to the spot where it all started. So nuclear reactor number 4 is under a very, very thick concrete sarcophagus, so this area ends up being much safer than most of the other places you'll visit. So this is just a summary of the day. It all has to be seen to be believed. There was so much information given through the day that we were really impressed with our guide, Dennis. In fact, Kelsey and I still talk about all the stories that we heard that day. I mean, not only was the whole thing a disaster, but the aftermath was kind of its own disaster. Just know that you have to pass through radiation detectors when you enter the cafe and then when you leave each checkpoint. So when the tour ends at the exclusion point, before you exit, you'll be at the final checkpoint back at the souvenir/snack bar. So be sure and stock up on stuff. It's a long drive back and it'll be later in the day, so you'll probably need to have supper in the van. Also, if you bring camera equipment, remember nothing can touch the ground once you're in the exclusion zone, so you'll need a bag or something, a situation where somebody can help you in case you have to change a memory card or a battery. This is by far one of the coolest things we've ever done, so if you can, get to Kyiv and take this tour.